1st, 2019. My name is Brad Micklin. I'm the managing member and lead attorney for the Micklin Law Group, which is a law firm concentrated in men's and fathers' rights in divorce, custody, and family law matters, with offices in Nutley and Montclair, New Jersey. Today's video is part of my how-to series where I take a topic each week and I try to give you a good amount of information, not an extensive amount, but a decent amount to allow you to understand and gauge your involvement in the case if it involves the issue we're discussing. It's a little more than my daily tip and it's a little less than my monthly webinar, but it's hopefully enough to get you through the issue. So today's tip, or today's how-to series, is how to become the parent of primary residence in a New Jersey custody case. This is often one of the most hotly debated and litigated issues in a custody matter. And let me first tell you a little bit about what the parent of primary residence is and then tell you how you go about obtaining it. Parent of primary residence is generally considered to be the parent with whom the child resides with the majority of the time. The other parent being the parent of alternate residence. Now, what that means is the parent of primary residence is usually the one going to be charged with more of the significant day-to-day decisions. So you have day-to-day decisions that are significant, and then you have very significant decisions. So day-to-day would be like what doctor they go to, what daycare they're attending, what appointments they have, because the parent of primary residence is usually the person charged with taking the children to these appointments and the like. So they usually have to be relatively close or accommodating their lifestyle. So when there's a conflict in the decisions, courts will defer to the parent of primary residence because they're the ones that are usually handling most of these issues. The more significant decisions like religion, education, residence, medical, those are joint decisions if you have joint custody, and they're not significantly impacted by whoever is the parent of primary residence. So we're really talking about what would be important day-to-day decisions. Now, generally, being a parent of primary residence is becoming less and less significant because of a greater amount of parents sharing equal physical custody. When you have equal physical custody or even something similar to that, parent of primary residence really only becomes significant sometimes for tax filing with whatever remains of the child deductions or exemptions that remain. They've been altered a little bit after 2019, but they still exist in some way, and for school registration. That's usually where I see the most significant issues, because you usually can't register a child in school without an order that says you are the parent of primary residence. But as a quick aside, you can execute a consent order that has language assigning the PPR designation to a parent solely for the purpose of school registration, and you can use that language in it so that that issue is reserved. You're not vesting in that other parent anything more than that authority, so that the other decisions I talked about, like doctor appointments, daycare, and other significant day-to-day decisions, would not vest solely in that parent. Only the custody cases if your order has that language specifically. Now, turning to the topic, if you are in a case where a parent of primary residence is significant, or it's significant to you for whatever reason other than what I've discussed, these are the things that you need to realize and prepare for when you go through the custody evaluation. First, briefly, you need to understand the custody process. You're not going to walk into a hearing in the beginning of your case and be designated parent of primary residence, at least not permanently. You'll go through a process which will include mediation, some case management, possibly an expert appointment, and then a trial. And that's the summary version of it. Courts will generally put you through several versions of each of those in order to get you to a custody case. So I gave you the nutshell, but you're looking at a year or 2 year possible course of litigation. Inside of that litigation, you're going to need to look at a few things. And most importantly, and I tell my clients this all the time, the most important thing to remember, not just when it comes to being parent of primary residence, but when it comes to any kind of custody issue, is the issue that decides all custody matters, or what all custody matters turn on, is the best interest of the child. And people don't generally understand or pay attention to what that really means. And I say that because a lot of people will do things and argue like, I'm a better parent, this school is better, my area is nicer, there's more family in where I live, and those things are all better. But the standard is best. So being a better parent doesn't help. Being in a better situation doesn't help. It has to be best. So you sort of need the combination of all those issues to be able to show that where you're arguing the child should be placed with you is best. And that's important because a lot of judges don't even recognize that, that fine point of the standard. But you need to keep that in mind for all arguments that you're making. From there, you want to look to other areas specifically with regard to how the child's going to be raised, not just today, but long term. So you want to look at where you're living compared to where the other person's living. You need to look at things like what extracurricular activities are around, how close are they to their other friends from the other parent, what kind of family support do you have, and what is the area overall like? Is there a lot of crime? Is it a rural area? Is it going to be something where they're going to be able to engage with a lot of people or not? That needs to be compared to the area of the other parent in order to say that your area is best. Next, I think you want to look at things in the educational and extracurricular areas specifically. You want to look at the schools. You want to find out how they're ranked in the state. You want to look and see what is the parent or what is the teacher-student ratio. What is the amount of students that go to college or post-high school education? Is there any crime involved or statistics for that institution? What are the extracurricular and side activities that the child will engage in? And then last, I think you want to look at any special aptitude that the child either has or you believe will have and will need to be developed. And you want to find where in your area and your home will that or those areas be encouraged. These are three significant areas when it comes to a child's life and development that you need to look to both as they exist now and as they're going to exist in the near future if you're seeking to be a parent of primary residence. Now, I don't think you necessarily need to be able to argue this for the child's entire life depending on what age the child is, meaning if the child is 2, college is not such a big issue, but if the child is 13, it is, and maybe extracurricular activities are less important. So you need to gauge a little bit about the age of the child with these issues. And then lastly, and simply, you want to touch on all of the custody factors that the court will look at when making a custody decision itself. Now, there's about 14 of them. I'm not going to go through them here. They're all not equally important. And when it comes to PPR, they're not all very important at all because it's not a custody decision as much as a custody designation. So while they're going to be important, they're not going to be dispositive. I hope that information helps you. If it does, please give this video a like and share it. You can subscribe to my page. Something I forgot to mention when I go on, I always say just as a caveat, this is being filmed on March 1st, 2019 in New Jersey. If you are watching it on any other day or in any other state, you need to check to see if the laws have changed or whether or not this applies in your jurisdiction. With that, I'm going to sign off. I will not be on all next week. I'm going to be on vacation, so I will be back on, I think it's the 11th. If there's anything that you want me to touch on that day or that week when I get back, just send me a message and I'll do my best to address it. Thank you.